Hello everybody, Всем привет. Today we're doing some weird hitbox stuff and probably the Thieves Guild. So one of the things, this is inside of the heroes.agg file. You have all these different ICN sprite files that have numerous sprites in the game. And in the root of that heroes.agg, you have all these 82M files, which are various sound effects of the game from the battle and the loops. These binary files here are these are actually like menu codes. They tell you which ICN file, and they have like layouts of where different icons go on the menus. And I've started using that now. I've decoded this somewhat, and I've started using that to get a better layout in the dialog boxes instead of having to guess and use like I would rasterize like 10 pixel grids over it and be able to count pixels that way. And that worked, and I was getting pretty close, but it's just nicer to be able to pull the values out of these binary files. So I'm slowly working in, like I manually did recruit like these query recruit boxes, but this has the actual values in there. So I'm gonna use those eventually and get it more, let's say, pixel aligned with the actual game. Like that's just the right way to do it. Now in the actual game, I believe they load these in. These are like the instructions that they load. Maybe they store them in memory because these are just tiny 1 kilobyte files. But these are where all the different dialogues and dialogue structures are loaded. Um, but I also found these other files. You know, we have a lot of these different animation frames for battle, but then we have these TOD files. You know, what are these? You know, what's going on here? So here's the Thieves G TOD. What is that? And it's just this very short little file, and nothing stands out to me. It's, you know, it's called Thieves G, but you know, the, I don't see any obvious text here. I just see some values, and I'm not really sure what to make of that. So what I did is I just dumped a whole bunch of these creature structures from the forest. So basically the sorceress structures, plus the tavern, Thieves Guild, well, dock, Mage Guild, and I gave it the structures offsets CSV file that I'd created before with all the different structures. The idea was to say, hey, can you look and see if these structures match these, or what's going on here? And so I literally just dumped those in and gave it the offsets and said, I'm trying to decode these files. They're very small. They're, you know, less than 1 kilobyte. You know, how big are they actually? Let's see. 27 bytes. So these are just tiny. These are tiny files. Barely any tokens it burns. But I want to decode these files, their binary format, and correspond to the structures of the sorcerer's castle. I've attached the structures offsets in case that helps you find some overlapping values. So it runs a whole bunch of, you know, does some hex dumping, reads the CSV, cross-references stuff, looks at binary patterns, does all that good stuff. Comes up with an X, Y, width, height, building ID, gold cost, prerequisites, resource costs. So we look at this, the Mage Guild, this looks right. Thieves Guild, that's right. Tavern, that's right. Shipyard, that's right. Well, that's right. Tent is, well, it basically has to be pre-built. Castle, that's right. Assuming this resource 2 is ore. Cottage, dwarves, that's right. Archery range, that's right. Stonehenge, okay, resource 2 is, you know, that's, we don't know what that is. The fenced meadow suddenly has 20. It's 10 wood and 10 gems, so we don't know what's going on there. The red tower costs 10,000 and 30 stone, 30 ore, and 20 mercury. So this is just not right, and it has a different prereq. So it's not really getting these cost values correct. So and then it says that my x, y, width, height coordinates are slightly off from the binary values. the binary is probably authoritative from the original data files, and the CSV may have been measured manually with slight inaccuracies. Now that's not true because my CSV values were computed from the spec, in the ICN files for those sprites. There's a spec, and that gives you the XY offset, the width and the height, stuff like that. So I thought about this and I was like, this is actually probably the hitboxes. This is how you click on it, because I was having some problems with the archery range and the fenced meadow in the sorceress being larger than, like, the sprites were larger than they should have been. The sprites covered other sprites, and so the hitbox was thus covering Stonehenge and the Mage Guild. So I thought, maybe these TOD files just randomly, these little 1 kilobyte files in the root of the heroes.agg directory, maybe these are the hitboxes. So yeah, so I said I suspect these encode the hitboxes where the mouse click is caught to bring up the menu. Building ID looks good. The gold cost for the Phoenix is 10,000 in the game, and some of the resources. So, and then I gave it a bunch more of these TOD files. And then I think you should look again at the resource costs and prerequisites. It goes through some more. It doesn't really get the resource thing right. And then there's this Plains E0. This is like the river that runs in the through the barbarians castle, and it's purely decorative, even though the hitbox is like 0, 0, and 10 by 10. So there's a little 10 by 10 box at the upper left corner of the barbarian castle, which you can click on, but like nothing happens. So, and anyway, I realized that these are probably the hitbox, and maybe we can make a mode that only outputs the hitbox for the sprites, and then one that outputs everything. So I wanted a Python parser for these TOD files. So I created one, ran it. Let me see if I can pull up what the results were from that. Let's see. There it is. Can we just run it here? Nope, we have to run it from the directory. So let's run it from the directory. Oops. So Python TOD parser py -- hitbox. Okay. Star.tod. Can we do that? There we go. Okay, that works. So anyway, we end up getting this this set of hitbox coordinates, and I think I dumped this to a CSV. But we're getting all of these hitbox coordinates now. I remember I was having an issue with the archery range in the sorceress because this was like 200 by 500. So this looks much more reasonable. Same thing with the fenced meadow. It was like 200 by 250 or so, 225 by 250, something like that. And this also looks more reasonable. So I'm like 95% sure at this point that these are just the hitboxes. This is the weird one, this placeholder structure for the barbarian. The Tavern, Thieves Guild. I think I had some issue with the Tavern hitbox too previously. Yeah, so that's how we decoded these hitboxes. Well, then, let's see. Did we go through? Let's see, this was my last one. So let's see, this was our decoding. And I think we need to go over here to. So now I've basically decoded, I created this CSV of all of these structures here. and I dump it into, well, along with a lot of my code and the map loading and everything, the tavern screen, the well screen, the Mage Guild screen, the castle screen, everything that has the hitbox for those structures. And then the sprites are placed correctly, but I want the hitboxes to use these values. Can you help me modify the files or give me patches for fixing a few lines here or there in the files? So we run through it. It applies this, gives me all these instructions, and it tells me in the well screen, change the well sprite hitbox to the new well sprite hitbox. Okay, same thing with tavern screen, same thing with Mage Guild screen, same thing with castle screen. I was like, okay, we got castle sprite, that looks right. Yeah, we want to update the castle sprite hit. Okay, but then it starts telling me to fix some of the tent positions in, like the tent position in castle. Fix the draw origins for the shared buildings. And I'm like, no, actually, wait a second, AI. I started to realize the dwelling draw tables. I was like, no, we don't need to change these dwelling draw tables. Like, this is not, these hitboxes are not the dwelling draw locations. I just want to make sure you didn't mess that up, because I was pretty sure it did. The hitboxes are for the right clicking in the castle screen and used otherwise in recruit and the individual structure screens, right? You're right to flag that. Let me reread carefully, blah, blah, blah. The CSV is hitbox data only. So the correct minimal set of changes is just recruit, CPP, Mage Guild, well screen, tavern screen. That's it. Don't make any changes in draw castle buildings. Okay, good. But it's still not quite right, because we do need to change castle sprite hit. So I give it the castle sprite hit info here. And then I say, we actually also are going to need a tent sprite hit, because I don't think we have that yet. And I haven't actually built the screen for building from a tent to a castle. That's on my to-do list. So, but I'm just thinking ahead here. I'm like, hey, let's do the tent sprite hit as well, because we're going to need to do that. Gives me an apology. Yeah, okay. Thanks for wasting my tokens. No, I mean, it's great. I shouldn't be hard on the AI. It's doing okay, and I'm catching the errors before they spiral out of control. And so here's the tent sprite function it gives me, and I add that in. And I think when I did the builds here, it actually worked out pretty well. So let me see if I have a build that I can pause and show you what that looks like. Hitbox fix. Yep. So the tavern works really well. Thieves Guild isn't working yet. This is working much better. To click cancel there. Let's build a maze. Works there on the maze. We click just above the maze, just over here. Over here it doesn't work, but we click on the maze and it works. So these are the original hitboxes from the game. So we decoded those. They were just randomly in these TOD files, like super random. Okay. Yeah, I think I should probably just stop there.